Tonight's forecast is sponsored by Ashbrook Audiology, where relationships matter.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Thanks, Luis, for that update. As always, we are continuing to monitor and keep a close eye on things around our area. And we're going to take a trip out west because I'm beginning to sound such like a broken record. I want to kind of talk about a different location for today because this is influencing our similar weather. However, though, we're not seeing these high rainfall totals. This is a one-day duration, as you've been watching the National and seeing stuff on weather feeds and social media over the last couple of days. You've been hearing about Missouri a lot, and particularly our friends out towards St. Louis, where the National Weather Service hub office is located out there. They have been dealing with a lot of rain. Pretty much that entire state has been, or there's a swath of the state. I'm going to show you a map in a second. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, that is impressive stuff there. So we're going to talk about why this is so significant for the state of Missouri, and particularly our friends out towards St. Louis, because if you have family and friends out there, you might want to check on them and let them know, make sure they're okay. I know there's been a lot of flood damage out towards that area, and so insurance companies are going to be busy working with the individuals for home insurance, even some property damage. A lot of that has been impactful out there, and of course, thankfully, I believe there's been no fatalities out of this. And the thing about it is this rain is that's been so powerful that a lot of these high vehicle trucks and SUVs, this is why we've told you to do not cross a flooded roadway, because almost 12 to nearly 20 inches of water can stall any vehicle, no matter if you have the highest capacitable vehicle there is that you own. It don't run through a body of don't go through any type of flooded roadway. Well, hopefully not driving through a body of water either, so just keep all that in mind. So anyway, just some tips to keep in the back of your mind as you're heading out and about. So our friends in Missouri here, let's kind of go back, and I'm going to pull the history books out on here. The record was set back in 1915, so almost 107 years ago. Their highest daily rainfall, a one-day period, was over 9 inches of rain. That was reported, and they had to beat 7 inches. Check, they were managed to do that. That was all part of a hurricane that came back through Hurricane Galveston that made impact there. And as you kind of saw there, I'm going to step out here, you can kind of see those images and those rainfall numbers. They picked up 7.68 inches of rain in just 6 hours. To compare that to almost a month to 2.5 months of daily monthly rainfall, they picked up in almost 6 hours. Well, what happens with that, it's all been part of that stationary front. I'll talk about that in a second though. But pretty much that is like a quarter of the annually average in 12 hours reported in that area. Now, the normal rainfall for the month of July and August, like I said, combined for St. Louis is 7.3 inches. So can you imagine that? They were almost about a couple of inches there, or a couple of hundredths, getting right close to that. 4/10 of an inch of rain. They were right close to getting to a daily all-time high monthly rainfall report in that area. And again, just that is 6 hours, and it took place during the overnight and the early morning hours. So this was kind of impactful for them, because this happened when most people were sleeping, and or if you're working a late night shift, you were coming home into that as well. So it was pretty interesting to talk about that. Rainfall totals, I know that's kind of hard to see, but the lighter the color, the less chance of rain, the greater that red, orange, yellow colors, the intensity of the rainfall. So just kind of ignore that. I'm going to tell you about that. This is what's impressive to me, because all of this is a swooth of all this rain that came through here. These darker yellow, reds, and oranges. Look at some of these totals. This is impressive. So outside of Rosebud, Missouri, there is an inch. Salem, Illinois, an inch and about 2/4 there, or an inch and 2/5, excuse me. You get outside up towards these higher areas, they're up towards 6.1 inches of rain at St. Louis, and this is incredible. St. Petersburg, Missouri was the winner over 1.5 feet of rain in a short almost 13 inches of rain reported there. And that's those darker red, orange, green, dark red, and orange yellow looking colors that I'm trying to get my color coordinated there. So impressive stuff. And what has been causing all of this to happen is that stationary boundary, I've been telling you about this since last week. As you know, we've been continuing to be submerged in humid and tropical air for the entire pretty much mid-Atlantic, and now the Ohio River valleys are seeing this heavy rainfall as well out there. And that same stationary front, like I showed you, that swath of rain going from Illinois to Missouri there, picked up a lot of rain in a short amount of time. And you know what happens with that, it was a lot warmer there, so what happens with the instability of the atmosphere, the humidity, and that the temperature and the dew point, they really have nowhere else to go. Think of us as a sponge. You're squeezing a sponge as you're washing dishes maybe. When that sponge gets too full, what happens with that? That water just runs off, and then you squeeze it, and that water comes down like a gully washer. And that is impressive stuff out there, to say the least. So flooding is one of the dangerous and deadliest summer killers of the year, of us every year. We talk about that, and of course heat waves on top of that note too. So summer heat waves are right there, number one. Right there, number two, coming at that is flash flooding, particularly in our summer months, because we're always out and about. We're not always home all the time. We're on vacation and maybe visiting stuff as well. All right, enough of my soapbox about flood threats here. Locally, there's a potential we could see some flooding as our friends towards Ararat and Claudeville, southwestern Patrick County. Boy, you've picked up almost 3 to almost 4 inches of rain in the last several days. Our friends here in the city, you've picked almost 3/4 to almost an inch in the county as well. Same story towards Franklin County, Rocky Mountain, Boones Mill areas. You've also been under the gun where yesterday you had a potential tornado warned storm that came through your neck of the woods, and thankfully some of those storm reports did not produce a tornado. However, there were some little minor wind damage reports out there with that too. So that's been the key theme, and again, we're going to continue to keep this pattern in store for us for the next several hours, and going in to the overnight hours, our temperatures are going to stay in the 80s and low to mid 70s out there as well. Moving on to some area overnight lows this evening, not much of relief in sight anytime soon. Upper 60s, low to mid 70s. A stray shower or storm is possible. Other than that, we may wake up to a few clouds, maybe even a few areas of some light fog out there. Just keep that in mind, particularly along the riverfront. So if you live near Philpott Lake, the Smith River, if you live in Patrick County, down the lower valleys, particularly in Medicine, you may wake up to a few areas of fog tomorrow morning. Do know that our temperatures are going to be pretty warm tomorrow. So the warmest day of the week is Thursday. 90s is everywhere you kind of go, or except for our friends in Patrick County and up towards Ferrum, up towards Rocky Mount off of highway or Route 40, 220 highway 220. Excuse me. Let me get the correct terminology there. Again, humid, scattered storms, partly cloudy in the morning. Just your typical summertime afternoon. And what's causing all of this, like I said, is that stationary front that has nowhere to go. I've got a bit of a map demonstration here. I got to start wrapping things up here. This front, it's been teetering kind of back and forth, not just for this general area, but I'm just giving you an example. If I had a national weather map here, I'd kind of give you a demonstration of what it is. But what it's been doing, it's been kind of going from west to east, and it's staying there. And what's going to possibly, fingers crossed, maybe this weekend, this front's going to begin to push south a little bit out of our area and may stall right here along the Virginia-Carolina line and give us maybe a drier Saturday. And then what's going to end up happening, that front, well, it's going to be like a seesaw and go back up. So the weather this week has been like a seesaw back and forth for the last several days. And what's causing that, let's kind of go over here. Pretend this is the Atlantic Ocean. This is not the ocean, but kind of visualize it. There's an area of high pressure along Bermuda that's allowing the storms just to kind of go over and around it. So it's not really much of effect for them, but it's impacting us, as you saw there as well. All right, that's enough of my time here with you. I could go on, but we got to take a quick break and thank some of our sponsors who makes this newscast and weather forecasting possible as well. Thanks so much for watching us. We will talk again on Thursday. We'll talk about the weekend forecast and let you know where that stationary boundary plans to make its final move.
Your BTW21 weather forecast is sponsored by Zentmeyer Chiropractic.